Welcome, my friends. As you know, the list of tech companies laying off employees just continues to get longer. If you follow this channel, you know that I already posted a video about layoffs at Amazon. In that video, about a month ago, I mentioned that Amazon was planning to lay off 10,000 people. At the time it was announced, Amazon said that these were not warehouse workers or drivers, but rather they are corporate employees. Well, today, we are hearing that the number of job cuts at Amazon is going to be twice that number. That's right, Amazon is actually laying off 20,000 employees. If you recall, the whole process started when Amazon announced a hiring freeze for corporate positions. That was a hiring freeze and not a layoff. But the usual progression of events is first a hiring freeze. Then there is the rescinding of job offers that have already been issued. Then, there are layoffs. And, if the result of that is not enough to restore financial health to the company, there are even more layoffs. This video continues our coverage of the wave of layoffs sweeping the United States. What does it mean for Amazon? What does it mean for big tech companies? What does it mean for the economy? And, what does it mean for the future of the United States? But, before we get into all of that, please press the like button and leave us a comment below. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Reports are now surfacing that layoffs at Amazon are actually going to be twice as large as originally planned. Amazon now plans to cut 20,000 employees across the entire company. And this expanded number now includes distribution center workers, technology staff. We heard about these employees in the November announcement. And corporate executives, how rare that is for executives to be laid off. This new announcement of 20,000 employees is twice as many as previously reported. Like a lot of technology companies, Amazon went on a hiring spree during the pandemic. Now, the company needs to retrench. Like many technology companies, it is getting hit with a double whammy. The pandemic forced most people to work and play games at home. That drove the accelerated need for laptops and online subscriptions. It also prompted the federal government to stimulate the economy. Now, effects are being mostly undone. People are continuing to use the technology products that were purchased during the pandemic. It will be a couple of years before another renewal and replacement cycle kicks in. And the government stimulus caused inflation. And, as we all know, the Federal Reserve is aggressively raising interest rates to fight inflation. Like we have already heard from Google, Amazon has instituted an employee ranking system. Amazon employees are ranked from level 1 to level 7 based on their impact on the business. The rankings and the layoffs are considered to be at all levels and across the board. The New York Times first reported about Amazon layoffs of 10,000 people. Company managers have been told to identify work performance issues among employees. 20,000 employees amount to 6% of corporate employees. And it is about 1.3% of Amazon's total of 1.5 million person employee base. And the 20,000 employees include global distribution center and hourly workers. Employees will receive a 24-hour notice and severance pay. There is a sense of fear among employees in the company as the news has come out, said one anonymous source. The layoffs would be the largest staff reduction in the company's history. The layoffs are not focused on any specific department or location. The layoffs cut across the board. Overhiring during the pandemic and the need for cost-cutting as the company's financials have been on a declining trend, said Amazon. Our annual planning process extends into the new year, said Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. This means there will be more role reductions as leaders continue to make adjustments, Jassy continued. Those decisions will be shared with impacted employees and organizations early in 2023, Jassy also said. Jassy did say that layoffs would affect the devices and books businesses. The people, experience, and technology organization will also be impacted. Amazon is also extending a voluntary reduction offer for some employees. About a month ago, it was rumored that Amazon had laid off its robotics team. Now, sources have confirmed that the robotics team has been cut. We just felt like we needed to streamline our costs, said Amazon CEO Andy Jassy. Amazon's retail business expanded dramatic during the early days of the pandemic. That was during the heady days of people gearing up for working at home. And everyone seemed to be flush with cash, some of which came from federal stimulus. New realities have forced us to make decisions, Amazon CEO Jassy said. This comes as time to spend a lot more money and to go much faster in building infrastructure than we ever imagined we would, Jassy said at a conference in New York. We knew we might be overbuilding, Jassy said. Actually, enterprise technology spending is still expected to grow over the next year. But, despite that forecast, technology companies are wary of demand. And that is particularly true of technology companies with big consumer retail businesses. A lot of factors are having a negative impact on demand. Rising interest rates, the war in Ukraine, high fuel costs, supply chain issues, and a decline in personal computer sales. If you follow this channel, you already know that many tech giants have announced layoffs in the past few months. Even growth at Amazon Web Services, AWS, has been slowing. And AWS is Amazon's most profitable business in cloud services division. For the past 3 quarters, AWS revenue year-over-year growth slowed. 36.5% in Q1. 33% in Q2. 27.5% in Q3. And who did Amazon blame? You guessed it, the usual inanimate whipping boy, weakening macroeconomic conditions. Amazon is feeling its customers pulling back and being more cautious with spending. Like a lot of other big tech companies, Amazon went on a hiring spree during the COVID-19 pandemic. This seemed to make sense at the time because a lot of people were working from home. Access to brick-and-mortar stores was highly restricted. And many people just did not want to risk catching COVID-19 through what they saw as unnecessary contact with other people. As such, Amazon had to keep up with a pandemic-driven increase in online shopping. But since the pandemic has come to an end and the economy has opened up again, Amazon slowed headcount growth. Now, many consumers have returned to physical stores. And as a result, growth of Amazon's retail business has slowed. That is a major shift from the years leading up to the pandemic. We have all become accustomed to high double-digit growth from Amazon. And from a lot of other big tech companies, for that matter. But as things stand right now, Amazon's retail business is no longer much a growth business. And Amazon is not the only tech company whose growth has declined to pedestrian levels. As you know, some tech companies actually have flatlining or declining revenue. For example, Netflix revenue actually shrunk for the first half of 2022 before showing slight growth in Q3. And, of course, Meta has reported declining revenue for 2 consecutive quarters and is probably headed for a third. Amazon aggressively cut expenses across the company amid fears of a recession. If you follow this channel, you already know the economic narrative of the times. Inflation is raging in most countries around the world. Central banks around the globe are aggressively raising interest rates. Consumers are feeling less confident. And they are cutting back on discretionary spending. Amazon has actually cut warehouse space. In fact, Amazon has also canceled new warehouses that were on the drawing board. It has cut some experimental projects, like robots. And Amazon closed its telehealth service. New Amazon CEO Andy Jassy is showing that he is a very different CEO than previous CEO Jeff Bezos. Of course, Jassy ascended to the CEO position at a different day and age with different economic realities. Amazon's headcount grew only 5% in Q3 as compared to Q3 of last year. So, that is quite a slowdown for Amazon. Amazon has 1.54 million employees worldwide. But, most of those employees are warehouse workers. And that is after Amazon actually cut its workforce for the first time in years in Q2. About 75,000 of Amazon's employees are in the Seattle area. That includes corporate office employees. Amazon also has corporate employee bases in a number of other cities across the United States. Virginia, Tennessee, Silicon Valley, and New York. So it looks as though Amazon's new CEO is really tightening the ship. And the future Amazon is not the Amazon of the past. We could be seeing the maturation of Amazon. If that is the case, then it would probably be followed by a period of slower growth. And, then by financialization of Amazon by Wall Street. There would eventually be calls from shareholders for dividends to be paid. And, in fact, I think that is the future course for a lot of big tech companies whose growth has slowed. I guess only time will tell. And, if you follow this channel, you probably already know that tech companies are sensing weak macroeconomic conditions. It is fair to say that Q3 earnings were weak or weakening in most companies, aside from oil companies. Consumers' budgets are getting tighter because of having to spend more on gas and food. So, consumer discretionary spending is weakening. Corporate marketers are cutting their ad budgets, especially online. And ad revenue is the lifeblood of many big tech companies. But, what do you think? Please leave us a comment below and hit the like button. We would love to hear from you. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you are notified of upcoming videos when they are released. Please share this video on social media. Thank you for watching.